Hello everyone, welcome to Court with Krissy, and welcome back. We survived day 1, now it's day 2 of jury trial. And today we start with the emergency room physician. He's not a neurologist. And then the victim testifies. And when attorney Karen starts questioning, that's when I figured it out. She runs a fight club. There's no way her client could have won this match. I've created a playlist so you can keep track of all these videos, because it's now going to a 3-day jury trial. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
Matter of People, the State of Michigan versus David Walter Talisman. Continuing jury trial, file number 247158FH. Day 2 of jury trial, People's Case in Chief is continuing. Members of the jury, good morning. Hope you had a great night's sleep. We continue with jury trial this morning. With that in mind, I think let's just get things rolling. Mr. Wachowski, ready to call your next witness?
Yes, sir.
You may proceed.
Your Honor, the people called Dr. Brad Blaker to the stand.
Doctor, would you step up to the witness stand just to my right? Please raise your hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Please be seated, sir. Mahoney, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, would you please state your name for the record and spell your last name for the benefit of the court reporter?
Brad Allen Blaker, Blaker.
And Dr. Blaker, how are you employed?
I'm employed through McLaren Medical Group.
And what kind of physician are you?
Emergency medicine physician.
Do you hold any board certifications?
Board certified in family medicine and emergency medicine.
Were you the attending emergency department physician on the evening of July 3rd, 2024 at McLaren Thumb Region Hospital?
I was.
Do you recall treating a patient by the name of Daniel Stevens?
I do.
And how did he arrive at the McLaren Thumb Region Emergency Department?
He came in by EMS.
And what was his chief complaint that evening?
Assault with head injury.
And what was the history of his present injury when you saw him?
He was assaulted. When I initially interviewed him, he did not know who the assaultant was. He had injuries to his head and right back.
And did you know any lacerations or contusions upon your initial examination of Mr. Stevens?
He did have an abrasion on the back of his head that did not require any texture.
And why was there no need for treatment of that abrasion?
The bleeding at the time had stopped, and it wasn't, when you looked at the laceration, it didn't need to be closed. It had started to seal off on its own.
But could you see evidence that there had been bleeding before?
Correct.
Okay. At your initial examination of Mr. Stevens, did you note anything of consequence as to his mental state?
Repetitive questioning. And so we had to keep redirecting. He kept pulling at the collar, and we had to tell him why he was there.
When you say the collar, what is that?
A cervical collar that we put on to protect his neck while we're obtaining images to make sure that there's no injury.
I see. Dr. Blaker, what is the Glasgow Coma Scale?
Glasgow Coma Scale is a scale that we use to determine their injury pattern when it comes to traumatic brain injury or trauma.
And what was Mr. Stevens' score on the Glasgow Coma Scale?
I'd have to review my documentation, but I do believe that I had documented a 15.
Dr. Blaker, if you were to...
Sorry, that number was 15 or 15? 15.
15, thank you. Sorry. And well, before I move on, what is the scale? Where does it start? Where does it end?
So the scale is comprised of 3 components. And so the first component is an I component. It scales from 0 to 4. Let me take a step back. Glasgow Coma Scale, its highest is 15.15. Its lowest is 3. If somebody's deceased and they're not moving, they get a Glasgow Coma Scale of 3. There's no such thing as a 2, 1, or a 0.
I see.
On those, with the eye opening, you get a 4. That's spontaneous eye opening. With motor movement, if I ask him to do something and he can do that, he gets a 6 for motor. And then 5 is augmentation. And so he could tell me he was oriented to his location and his name. And so that's why he received a 15.
I see. And the 15 is the highest score one can receive on the Glasgow coma scale. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And just to make sure, Dr. Blaker, if you were to see a copy of the medical records or your chart, would it refresh your recollection as to specific scoring?
Yes.
May I approach the witness? Do you recognize that document, Dr. Blaker?
I do.
And what is it?
That's my medical record from the treatment of Mr. Stevens while he was in the emergency department.
And will that assist you in refreshing your recollection as to your treatment back on July 3rd of 2024?
It will.
Okay. Dr. Blaker, did you order any laboratory studies upon Mr. Stevens' admission to the emergency department?
So initially I did not. Initially I had ordered the CAT scans. Once we had received the CAT scan of the head and cervical spine back, I then added the laboratory values onto the patient's treatment plan.
Okay, well, let's start with the laboratory studies. Did anything stand out in the results that came back from the laboratory?
From a standpoint of acute injury patterns that I would need to do further testing on, no. His alcohol was 116, which was abnormal. Other than that, there are some other minor abnormalities, but nothing that would require emergent treatment.
Now, did Mr. Stevens' mental state, you mentioned his repetitive questioning and whatnot, did that appear to you to be related to alcohol intoxication?
No.
Now, let's go to the radiological studies. You indicated that you ordered a CT scan. Is that correct?
CT of the head and cervical spine.
Okay. And did you review those studies in consultation with a radiologist?
I did.
And what were the results of those studies?
So the radiologist had called me because it was what they call a critical finding. And so when we order studies and there's something there that they need to talk specifically to make sure that I understand what that finding is, the radiologist called me and defined a 2x4 millimeter subcortical bleed on the left anterior frontal region of the brain.
And just so the jury understands, if you could point on your own head, where would that be located on his head?
So where those two lines intersect, right in the front on the left side, and then just a little bit to the side, right in that area.
And can you explain what a subcortical bleed is?
So it falls under the line of what we call intracranial hemorrhage, or bruising inside the brain that has a little bit of blood that's around the bruise.
And what, based upon your examinations and also the radiological studies, what did you believe the cause of this injury to be in Mr. Stevens' case?
As you can see in the report there, that there's also a hematoma to the external surface of the head that's outside of the skull. And so that would be related to trauma.
And can you describe, just so the jury understands, what is a hematoma?
Hematoma is a bleeding collection under the skin.
Okay. Now, Dr. Blaker, we often in society nowadays hear the word concussion. It's a kind of increased in prevalence with professional sports. In your opinion, did Mr. Stevens have a concussion?
He did.
Okay. And why did you ultimately make the determination to transfer Mr. Stevens to McLaren-Lapeer Hospital?
McLaren-Lapeer is a level 2 trauma center with neurosurgeon as well as trauma surgery. And at McLaren Thumb region, we do not have those resources.
Okay. And did you believe it was necessary for Mr. Stevens to be evaluated by the neurosurgery service at McLaren-Lapeer?
Correct.
And what was your final impression or diagnosis as to Mr. Stevens at the time of his transfer to McLaren-Lapeer?
Contusion to the head with subcortical bleed.
And Dr. Blaker, have you had a chance to review that document in its entirety?
Yes, I have.
Does that appear to be a complete record of your treatment of Mr. Stevens while he was admitted to the emergency department at McLaren Thumb region?
It does.
Is that a document that's kept in the normal course of business when you treat patients in the emergency department?
It is.
And that's kept at McLaren Thumb region within their medical records department?
That is correct.
May I approach the witness once again, Your Honor? Your Honor, that has been marked as People's Proposed 73, and the people will move for its admission at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts, your response?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. 73 is admitted.
And with that, Your Honor, the people have no further questions of Dr. Blaker at this point.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Judge.
You're welcome.
Mr. Blaker, good morning. I only have a couple of questions for you. You testified just a few minutes ago about the GCS or Glasgow Coma Scale. You said that his value was 15. That's something that is within normal limits, correct?
Correct.
You also talked about blood alcohol level of 116. What is the normal on that?
Normal blood alcohol level is 0.
So it was a little elevated.
Yes, if you're asking me the legal limit, that's a different value.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You also talked about a 2x4 millimeter lead in the cerebrum, was it?
Correct.
And how small would that be?
So to put it in perspective, 2 by 4 millimeters is about the size of, so inches, 2.2 inches, 2.2 centimeters is an inch. And so if you divide that, less than a quarter of an inch.
So it wasn't really serious, but you sent him to McLaren Regional, is it?
McLaren region, McLaren Lapeer region is where I sent it, yeah.
Okay. And that was just to be cautious because there was something going on in the brain.
He had a bleed within the brain with a bruise, that contusion, and so he needed evaluation by neurosurgery.
All right, and you, while he was there in your care, you didn't see the bleed expanding at all?
He had no clinical signs that the bleed was expanding. We only did the 1 CAT scan.
That's it. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Redirect response.
Just a quick question. So Dr. Blake, you testified that the Glasgow Coma Scale was 15, correct?
Correct.
Yet your diagnosis was that there was still an intracranial bleed, correct?
Correct.
And so those two items are not mutually exclusive. In other words, an individual could have an intracranial bleed and still have a quote unquote normal GCS of 15.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Status of the witness.
We would ask for the witness to be excused, Your Honor.
Ms. Roberts, is there any objection to that?
No, okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Your existence, would you like me to do that? You just place it on that desk. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Counsel, your next witness.
Daniel Stevens.
Sir, would you please step up to the witness stand just to my right? Please stop a moment, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, please be seated. Kurkowski, you may proceed.
Please state your name for the record and spell your last name for courtesy of the court reporter.
Daniel Sherman Stevens, Stevens.
Are you familiar with the address of,
Yes.
is that located in Sanilac County?
Yes.
How do you know that address?
That's where I live.
Can you describe your house?
Ranch style, 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
You have a business located there?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
There was a nod, but it's all being recorded. Okay. So with that, your occupation?
Manager, soon be taking over, kind of transitional.
So I want to draw your attention back to the evening hours of July 2nd of 2024. Were you home that date?
I was.
Do you recall when you got out of work that date?
Slightly earlier. We were starting early, so we were trying to get done before it got too hot out. And it was 4th of July week, so it's around 3:30-ish.
You have plans for the evening?
I did.
What were the plans?
I was going to have someone over and drink beer and watch roast.
Who were you gonna have over?
Shannon.
Shannon, did she have a last name?
Violet.
How do you know Shannon?
Her brother and I were really good friends, and I knew her through him.
You said you were gonna watch a movie?
Yes.
What kind of movie?
Juice Bigelow, Mill Gigolo.
You said you were gonna have a few beers, drinks?
Yes.
So did you watch the movie that evening?
We did.
And did you have any beer to drink?
I did.
Do you know about approximately how many beers you had?
6 or 7 at least.
Were you driving that evening though?
I was not.
You were just at home?
Correct.
Now, the setup of your residence, you're talking it's a ranch house, right?
Yes.
So if one was to walk in your house, where would you walk into? What's the first room?
Walk in through the patio door, walk right into the kitchen. To your right is ties into the living room.
The patio door you're talking about, is that considered your front door?
Yes.
So that door, the solid door or not?
There are 2 doors. There's a normal solid door, the lock, and then there's a clear glass storm door.
The storm door, which direction does it swing? And does it swing out or into the
Swings out,
How about the inner door?
swings in.
Is there glass in that door, the storm door?
Yes.
Then you talk about the kitchen, and then that spills over into say, living room.
Yes.
In the living room, is that where the TV's at?
Yes.
Were you watching this movie with Shauna
Yes.
in the living room?
Yes.
While you're watching this movie, does something draw your attention?
Yes.
What draws your attention?
Well, at first it was Shannon jumping up, yelling, "Oh my God, Dave's here!" And
Now, do you stop you there? Do you know who Dave is?
I know of him at the time. Yes.
Who did you know him as?
He was Shannon's ex-boyfriend.
Now, at that time, did you see anybody?
No, not at that moment because I was still in the living room.
Did you hear it?
I heard a very loud vehicle right outside.
The road you live on, BC Forest Road,
Yes.
you gotta describe that.
A lot of tractors, a lot of semis, a lot of raised pickups driving past all the time. So loud vehicles, it was probably really out of ordinary for me to hear.
But this loud vehicle, did it sound like it was coming from the road?
It sounded like it was right outside my door.
So that was a little different.
Yes.
Do you have animals, specifically dogs in your place?
I do.
Dogs?
A German Shepherd and a German Shepherd Lab mix.
The German Shepherd that we have. I guess the names of
Finn is the German Shepherd and Sadie is the Lab mix.
when the dogs are in the house, can you describe to the jury their demeanor?
They are, if someone comes in the door, or your car door, or something of that sort, they completely lose their minds and bark. Or usually have to go out through the garage to meet people because they just are so chaotic.
Your Honor, I hate to interrupt, but objection, what he does or who his dogs are has no relevance to this whatsoever.
Well, I believe it's relevant based on a jury question yesterday. Just the demeanor. That's really what the question was about.
Right. I do agree. Objection is overruled.
So with your dogs, Finn and Sadie?
They,
So we're talking about Finn right now. Is Sadie the same way? For the most part?
She'll bark, but she's older and she usually is the instigator. Part of the department.
So if somebody comes into your house, dogs are in the house, what do?
They will bark. Usually I have to calm them down and bring people in from the outside so they know that they're okay.
How about when the dogs are outside?
Completely different. Because we have so many cars pull in and out, whether it's new trainees, regular employees, maybe driving different vehicles. Usually Finn has a ball in his mouth and we'll bring the ball over to those cars. Very, very playful, very different. A lot of times they don't even notice vehicles. There's a ball in front of them, that's all they care about.
That's when they're outside?
Yes.
So you're watching this movie with Shauna, correct?
Yes.
Where are the dogs?
They are outside.
How long have you been outside?
Not that long, because I left the storm door or left the main door open and the storm door closed. It's just kind of always let them out.
So you let the dogs outside?
Yes, sir.
So the dogs outside before you heard this loud noise
Yes.
outside where Shauna said, Dave's here.
Yes.
So they weren't in the house?
No.
We're to the point where Shauna tells you, Dave's here.
Yes.
What do you say at that point?
I tell her to go hide in my closet, in my bedroom, because I assumed that he was just there to yell or something. I wasn't sure what.
So you told Shauna to go to the closet in your bedroom?
Yes, sir.
So your house, the way it's laid out, you got the kitchen, right?
Yes.
So if you walk straight in from that door, the storm door,
Yes.
or front door, if you went straight back to the house to the north, what's back there?
If you go straight north through the storm door, it's the two guest rooms.
So there a bedroom or two bedrooms back there?
Yes, if you go directly straight north through the kitchen.
There's some workout equipment in one of them.
Yes.
Now, if you went into the kitchen and then went towards the living room, you have access to a bedroom off of your living room.
Yes.
Whose bedroom is that?
Mine.
Is that the bedroom you told Shauna to go hide in the closet?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury then what happens next?
So Shanna went around the couch, the wraparound couch, went around into the bedroom. And at that time, I walked into my kitchen, which is a large window, and I could see vehicle parked right almost on my patio, patio.
Did you
And
see who the person was
yes,
by the vehicle?
yes,
Who was it?
Dave,
Hey, would you recognize Dave Talisman if you saw him again?
yes,
Is he in court today?
yes.
Would you please point to him and say where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He is sitting next to the defense attorney, he's wearing blue glasses.
Let the record reflect the way to identify the defendant.
Good job.
So you see the defendant come around the vehicle.
Yeah.
Where does he go?
He runs around the front of his vehicle and opens my storm door, runs around my kitchen table directly into my house. And at that time, I backed up into my bedroom and I closed the door and leaned against it.
Then let me stop you there then. So you said the defendant comes through your storm door.
Yes.
Did you invite him in?
No.
Has he ever been invited into your house?
No.
But you didn't invite him in that day.
Correct. Correct.
Did you actually get to the front door,
No.
storm door?
No.
Did you punch him at all
No.
when he's entering at the storm door?
No.
So now you said you retreated back into your bedroom.
Yes.
Does your bedroom have a door on it?
It does. Or it did.
When you say it did, What do you mean it did?
Well, while leaning against it, I heard a bang, and then there was a door being hit. And I was leaning against it with my left shoulder. I was looking up at the hinges, and the second hit pretty much took that hinge right off. And I don't really recall much after that.
So in your house at the time,
Yes,
Sean is hiding in the closet.
yes,
You're behind the door. And are you holding the door?
yes.
And how are you bracing the door?
Holding it with either one hand or probably both, leaning against it with my left shoulder.
And then you said the defendant came through your front door.
Yes,
So we're talking about people in the residence.
yes,
When you're in the room there, you know Shauna, you know the defendant, you know yourself, right?
yes,
Shauna's in the closet.
right.
You see anybody else coming around that vehicle come in your house before you went into the bedroom?
No,
Did you have anybody else there prior to the defendant arriving besides you and Shauna?
no.
So you said, you know, after that, you didn't remember much. You tell the jury, though, what you remember?
After I saw the hinge coming off, the second hit, the next thing I clearly remember is almost like a dream.
What do you remember? What do you remember from that?
Everything was pitch black. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear pumping and grunting. Laid on top of me. I felt my head being hit, so I could feel my head moving back and forth. And I could taste blood. The next thing that I recall after that is almost like a screenshot, just a still picture of me looking out where my door was. It was no longer on its hinges, and I could look at my living room. I could see my telescope in pieces. I could see a bookshelf that was thrown down and everything was scattered across the floor. And the next thing I remember is bright white lights above me and Shannon telling me I was being shipped down to the pier.
Bright lights, you know if that was from the hospital?
I believe it was from the hospital. I was not a gurney at that point.
Do you have occasion to look at yourself in the mirror at some point when you were at McLaren and Bad Axe or in Lapeer?
I didn't look here.
In Lapeer? So if we look at People's Exhibit 5. That's a picture of you.
Yes,
You recognize the surroundings?
I do.
Where is that?
That is my bedroom.
Do you have any independent recollection of that picture?
I do not.
Is that what you appeared to look like when you were in Lapeer?
In the pier, yes.
When you looked at yourself in Lapeer, we look at people 6 now. It's a side profile. And 7. Those are consistent of what you saw.
Yes.
Do you have any other injuries on you that you knew of when you were in Lapeer besides your head area?
My rib cage hurt. Nothing, I can't really remember exactly what other injuries I might have had. I know my rib cage hurt. That's,
So did you look like that prior to the defendant coming to your residence?
no,
Not swollen face, mark in your nose?
no.
Moving through your house. Is that your kitchen table?
Oh, yes, it is.
There's a door in the background.
Yes.
What's behind that door in the background?
The guest room?
It's not your room then.
No,
Was a table like that before the defendant came into your house that day?
no,
Chair tipped over?
no.
People 36 6. This picture was taken by the police. Is that in your kitchen?
Yes,
Looks like some damage to the cabinet.
yes.
That damage, though, was that part of this incident?
No, it was not.
So that was a pre-existing damage to the,
Yes, it was.
nothing to do with this bedroom.
Correct.
If we look at people 38, what's that?
That is the bookshelf that was in the living room.
You see your telescope in there?
I do.
And is that where? On which side of the screen is it?
It's on the right side in several pieces. Tripod, lens.
Before the defendant came into your residence, was that bookshelf laying in the ground like that?
No,
Was your tripod and lens on the ground like that?
no.
Is this what you're talking about when you had this snapshot where you looked out your bedroom door?
Yes. I was looking at that from inside the bedroom.
Inside the bedroom.
Yes,
That wasn't like that before the defendant got there.
correct.
So if you look at the top part of the photograph, almost to the center, it looks like there was some work being done on your wall.
Yes.
What is that? Tell the jury.
The previous owner had about 6 plugs that were no longer needed, and I filled them in with drywall mud and covered it up with the bookshelf because I was procrastinating and finishing the drywall work.
So you worked on that.
Yes.
That's not part of this incident whatsoever, right?
No.
If we look at April 39, see a better picture of your telescope and the tripod, right?
Yes.
The end table or coffee table, depending on what you call it,
Yes.
is that the way you keep your coffee table?
No, it's not.
Was it like that when you were watching the movie with Sean?
No.
What position was it in?
It was on all fours, pretty much right in the center of the couch.
So when you sent Shauna back to the bedroom, you said Dave's here, and you got up from the couch,
Yes.
was that like that? Like it appears in that picture 39.
No.
We look at the next picture, which is 40. You can see the TV. Right?
Yes.
Do you have a window that faces to the outside?
Yes.
And where would it be?
There's one directly to the east, and there's one directly to the south of the couch.
Can you see anybody driving in the driveway if you're sitting on the couch looking out the front window?
Unfortunately, even if the windows were open, I could not because of the way the windows were installed by the previous owner, which you can't see anything out of when you're sitting.
If we go, actually, if you pull up People's 29, right? People's 29. Right towards the center of the screen there where the light is, which window or what room does that face into? That window? Where the light is?
Window all the way on the right side.
No, but I'm talking about the window with the light in it.
Oh, that is my kitchen.
Okay. So then if we move where the mouse is over there towards the right-hand side, that window, what is that?
That's for the living room.
That's when you're talking about that, even if it was open, the way the construction is, you can't see over there.
Correct.
So People's 41 now. What are we looking at here?
That is the view of my bedroom from the living room.
Now there's something in the center of that picture, all the way across the room. What is that?
That would be the bedroom door.
Were you doing construction on the bedroom door that it's sitting over there?
I was not.
Before the defendant came into your house that day, was that door like that?
No, it was not.
Where was it?
It was on its hinges on the door frame.
If we look at Eagles 42, looks like some pictures or some type of painting or something.
Yes.
What is that?
That was something as given as a gift to me and my soon-to-be ex-wife at the time.
Where was that located?
On that bookshelf.
How about the, whatever it was, it's tipped upside down, same thing, bookshelf?
Bookshelf.
We look at the next picture. See the hinge on there?
Yes.
So that hinge, did it have a door on it?
It did.
And that's the door on the opposite side of the room.
Correct.
Look at People's 44. Still see a screw in there?
Yes.
Now, what are we looking at? Near the right side of that photograph of 44, right where the cursor is.
That is the bathroom that needs trim put on it.
It just needs trim put on it.
Correct.
Did it have a door?
It does. It's pocket door.
And then where is the closet in relationship to that room?
It's around the corner, a little bit right of the bathroom. Closet is to the left of that door on the far end of the picture.
So, yeah, so the door that's on the far right side there, if you went to the left of that, that's where the closet's at.
Yeah.
People 47. Described earlier by the police, blood on the ground there. Right? So was that there before the defendant came in your house?
No.
And you're on that side of the door, correct?
Correct.
And when I say on that side of the door, you're on the inside of your bedroom, correct? People's 48. Your clothes, were they in that state
No.
prior to the defendant getting there?
No.
We had People's 49. What is that?
That is a dresser.
Do you normally keep your dresser like that?
I do not.
Was that dresser like that in your room before the defendant came into your residence?
No.
Is that your bed?
Yes.
What's laying across your bed?
It appears to be my closet door.
Prior to the defendant coming into your residence uninvited that day, was that door there like that?
No, it's not.
You're not doing construction on your closet there at the time?
No.
Next photograph. That's just a little different angle showing the dresser, correct?
Yes.
We look at 51. It's more of a close-up of your closet door, correct?
Yes.
With that closet door, was it actually on the closet prior to the defendant coming to your residence that day?
It was.
So when you sent Shanna into that room, that door would have been on the closet.
Correct.
Did you have those marks in there? Because it looks to be that there are 3 indentations into your closet door. See those?
Yes.
Were they in that door, those marks, prior to the defendant coming into your house uninvited that day?
No.
'53. That, you already said that was your door, correct?
Yes.
That wouldn't be, and the one we're talking about, the leaning door, right?
Yes.
The other door, where does that go to?
That goes out to my back patio.
That's on the back side of the house?
Correct.
And if we look onto the left side of the screen, it looks like there's some clothing hanging on a pipe or pole.
Yes.
Is that your closet?
Yes, it is.
So the door that's on your bed, should that have been on there?
Yes.
How about those items that are on the ground? Looks like a couple laundry baskets, some other a metal rack maybe, clothing. Was that like that before the defendant came in your house?
No, the racks were above the hanging clothes used for extra storage. Those baskets were not tipped over on their side.
So you had the baskets there, but they weren't tipped over.
Correct.
Uh, 55. There should be blood on the basket. Was that, it just appears to be blood on the basket.
Yes.
The testimony of a previous witness, so is that something that was like that prior to you going into that bedroom and the defendant was in your house uninvited?
No, it was not.
Looking at 56, this is probably a little better view of the relationship of the bathroom to that closet, right?
Yes.
From this picture 56, you can see on the left-hand side, that is what?
That is my bathroom.
And to the right-hand side,
That's my closet.
now, you see in the center of the photograph, it appears to be a wall,
Yes.
and there's something on the wall. Okay. The officer that took the pictures testified it appeared to be blood. Was it like that prior to the defendant coming into your residence uninvited that day?
No.
None of those marks on there?
No.
Moving into your bathroom, looking at equals 61. Once again, testified to appear to be blood. That's it, took that picture. The officers. Looking at that, was that in your bathroom prior to the defendant coming in your home uninvited?
No.
'62. Once again, center left and lower right-hand corner, officers testified would appear to be blood on your countertop. Was that like that before the defendant came into your residence that day?
No.
People 63. And then there's a close-up on 64 of that. Once again, the officer said it appeared to be blood spatter or blood droplets. Is that the way that your bathroom was prior to the defendant coming into your house uninvited that day?
No.
Looking at people 66. Officers testified previously it appeared to be blood on the carpet. Does your carpet have blood on that before the defendant came in your home that day uninvited?
No.
How far does your house set off of Bay City Forest Road?
Probably 100 yards or so.
So it's not close to the road.
No.
Do you have a yard in front?
I do.
Did you talk about the circle driveway, right?
Yes.
A horseshoe driveway, you said?
Yes.
Horseshoe. So with that, you have grass out in front of your place?
I do.
Take you back to People's Exhibit 17.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Just take a 5-minute break.
No questions asked. We'll take a short recess. We'll reconvene momentarily. Members of the jury, if you please follow this action. Just to remind you, again, you're not to discuss the case even amongst yourselves, and we will return momentarily. Calling the matter of People versus Talisman, the court took a short recess, and members of the jury have returned. We're in the people's case in chief. Mr. Rakowski, you may continue, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Looking at People 17. Picture of your lawn area driving up to your house.
Yes,
Just marks in the grass. You see those?
I do.
That like that when you went home that day? And
No.
you said about 3 o'clock or whatever. Is that correct?
Correct.
And those marks weren't there.
Correct.
And this is driving towards your place to the north, right?
Correct.
If we look at the next picture, which is 18, once again, there's marks up by the road there. Were those there when you drove in?
They were not.
If we look at People's 20, chunks of grass in your yard. See that?
I do.
Were you doing lawn work there?
I was not.
Was that like that when you went home that night?
No.
When you arrived back at your house after work, that wasn't like that?
Correct.
You said you're in the lawn care business, right?
Yes.
So with that, when you cut the lawns, you take some of the grass with you?
Sometimes, but we never take it back to the shop. Usually dispose of it.
Someplace else? Right. The grass clippings, did the defendant ever ask for grass clippings from you?
Not.
And how long you worked there?
This is my 20th season. So at the time it was 19 years.
For 19 years, defendant never requested for grass.
Correct.
If we look at People's 21, you see towards the center, upper right there where the cursor is at, your driveway. See tire marks on there?
I do.
That's dirt, right?
Correct.
Those tire tracks there prior to you going home.
No.
Looking at People's 23. To the south of your horseshoe driveway in front of your house. You see that?
I do.
Was your lawn like that when you got home that day?
It was not.
Did anybody permission to do that?
No, I did not.
Did anybody permission to make the ruts in your gravel driveway?
I did not.
Or drive on your grass going north into your house?
I did not.
24. You see your house in the background there? When you got home that day on the 2nd of July after work, was your lawn like that?
It was not.
Those tracks look like they went up towards the house. See that?
Yes.
Across your driveway, to your front door.
Yes.
Was there a vehicle that you saw in that area?
There was.
Whose vehicle?
I believe it was the defendant's.
And that wound up someplace around your front door patio area, right?
Correct.
Now I want to take you back to December of 2023. Do you recall coming home from work that day?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how that went about?
I was running around back and forth between another shop and mine. So I was in our work truck. I pulled in my driveway and I saw a golden Impala with black hood parked up by my shop.
Did you recognize who that was when you pulled in?
I did not.
So what happened next?
Well, I pulled up next to him because I get a lot of unmarked vehicles pulling up, whether it's customers wanting to pay a bill or asking questions about just lawn services. So to see an unknown vehicle in my driveway was nothing out of the ordinary at the time.
So when you talk about lawn service, do you do things in the wintertime as well?
Plow snow.
So summertime you cut lawn, wintertime you plow snow.
Yes, sir.
Do people arrive at your place, talk to you about snow removal as well?
Not very often. There have been a couple, usually neighbors.
But it's not uncommon for you to have people show up, to talk to you, correct?
Right.
So on that day, when you pulled up with your work truck, you said you pulled up near this vehicle.
Yes.
What happens next?
The driver asked if I was Dan. I said yes.
Did they stop you there though? You said the driver, was there more than one person or
No, there was just one.
you recognize the person that was there?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was Dave.
Was it the defendant?
Yes.
So the defendant was asking if you were Dan, right?
Yes.
What happens next?
When I responded yes, he got out of his vehicle and leaned, put both his arms inside of the window, leaned in far enough where I can lean away from him.
So we leaned into the window, driver's side, passenger side.
Driver's side.
On the driver's side of your vehicle, you had your window down.
Yes.
The defendant leaned in your vehicle, and you said it was to the point you had to do what?
I lean over towards the center of the seat, the bench, or a bucket, or a bench seat, excuse me. So I was leaning over as far as I could.
Trying to create some distance between you and him.
Yes.
Did you know him at the time?
I did not.
What did he say to you?
He told me to stop talking to Shannon.
You knew who Shannon was, correct?
I did.
Tell him anything?
I told him that we had been talking.
What did you describe his demeanor at that time when he leaned into your vehicle?
He was very worked up, breathing through his nose, not really saying much, a lot of awkward stare downs.
Staring at you?
Yes.
What else does he tell you?
He told me that if he had to come back, it wasn't going to be good.
At some point then, does the defendant leave?
Yes, he does.
When he leaves, what do you do?
I park the truck and I go inside my house, kind of rattled.
You open up your phone at all?
I did.
Did you find something on your phone?
I had a Facebook message.
Yeah, approach.
Yes, ma'am.
Any of what has been marked as people's proposed exhibit 79, you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
It is a message from Dave that he deleted before I could read.
So is that a screenshot of what you saw when you opened that up?
Yes.
Move to admit people's proposed 79.
Ms. Roberts? Thank you. 79 is admitted.
So when you opened it up, there was no message.
Correct.
But it said on the message was deleted,
Yes.
and it says that was December 5th of 2023 at 1:35 p.m.
Yes.
So that's when the message was sent, right?
Or deleted. I'm not sure how.
Or deleted.
Or I'm not sure how the messenger works, but I believe it's when it was deleted.
Do you believe that that was around the time frame that, when I say time frame, December 5th of 2023?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Ms. Roberts?
Mr. Stevens, you testified earlier that you had about 6 to 7 beers the night of the incident, the night of July 2nd.
Yes.
And what kind of beers were they? I mean, was it Pabst Blue Ribbon?
It was 200.
So Two-Hearted Ale is much stronger, isn't it? It's 7%.
Yes.
So, and your blood alcohol level at the hospital was 116.
Objection unless he doesn't, if he knows that, but if he doesn't know that, then that would call for speculation.
Ms. Fox?
Do you know that or not?
I didn't know at the time, no one told me.
All right,
Objection was sustained.
I'm sorry.
Objection was sustained.
And while you were at the house, the 6 to 7 beers that you had, would you consider yourself being a little intoxicated?
I was.
You usually drink that amount of beers?
Around that time, it was not unusual.
It was the summertime and
Objection is
it
relevant to this line of question.
was that correct?
Excuse me, counsel, what's the response to the objection as to relevance?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Just for his state of mind.
Objections overruled.
But for the evening question, now she's talking about, is that normal? And that's just not.
I see.
Yeah, for the evening question, I have no objection to that. I believe that can be asked, but when you start talking about other times, that's not relevant.
Response to that, Ms. Roberts.
I'll withdraw the question.
Question is withdrawn. Whatever answer may have been stated by the witness is stricken from the record. Members of the jury are not to consider the answer. Ms. Roberts, you may continue.
Once you were inside the bedroom, you said you had locked the door. Did you have your body against it? After David had allegedly come to the front door.
Yes.
And how is it, if you know, was David calling for you at all when you came in the house?
Not that I recall.
During your preliminary testimony, which was back in September of 2024, you indicated that you did not have a personal relationship with Dave and that you didn't know him.
I didn't know the person, no.
And the only way that you knew that it was Dave is because Shauna told you.
That and the event on December 5th was filmed.
Do you recall talking with the officers that night after the incident?
I do not.
This was in July of 2024, correct?
Correct.
And there's a lot of stuff that you have forgotten. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. During the time that you were at the hospital, you were very confused. Do you recall that?
I do not.
In the medical records, it was stated that the family was by your side. Was that Shauna or your wife?
It would have been Shanna in Bad Eggs. My actual family, this would be when I was a little here.
When you say actual family, do you have children?
I do not.
So it's just your wife.
It was actually my mother, my brother, and my sister that were listening.
And were you married at the time that this incident happened?
Objection relevant.
Response?
It goes to trustworthiness.
That's not a trustworthy issue.
Objection sustained.
You indicated that you have no recollection of many of the events of that evening. Did you have an opportunity to review any documents before your testimony today?
I did.
And what was it that you reviewed?
Pictures of my house that night. Body cam footage officers had. Some of the EMS was there talking to me. That was it. I don't think there was anything from the hospital, from that, excuse me.
All right. You, how long have you known Shauna?
My brother Derek,
I'm
well, I'm sorry, About as long as I've known her brother, which has been about 17, 18 years now.
So did you go to high school with her or something?
I did not.
And there was no one else in the house when this happened? I mean, your wife wasn't there.
No, she was not.
And did Shauna tell you that she had been in or was in a relationship with David, or that the relationship had ended in July?
I was told that she had a restraining order on him months prior to this, and I just assumed that she wasn't talking to him or in communication.
Did you know at the time when she came to your house that she had spent the last 3 nights with David?
I did not.
You indicated that you had been behind the bedroom door. And that David came and pushed it open. Was that it?
The bedroom door,
Right. You were inside the bedroom.
I believe he was doing more than pushing, because I heard a loud bang, and the second loud bang, and the hinges came off.
And you were behind the door.
I was.
And then somehow the fighting moved from the bedroom into the living room and then into the kitchen, correct?
I had no recollection of anything after that second bang on the door, where I saw the hinges come off.
And about how tall are you?
5'10".
5'10". And you weigh about 210.
I was heavier at the time,
And do you recall about what your weight was at the time?
at least 220.
Mr. Talisman, could you just stand up for a minute? And Mr. Talisman is about 5'6", so he's considerably shorter than you are. So you would have a longer arm reach.
That assumes facts, not evidence, so I would object to that, move to strike.
It's fine.
Trying to clarify the facts that have already been put in, you know, if it's having to do with the fight.
All right, why don't you bifurcate your question, please? You asked the witness about the respective height of the defendant.
All right, there is a difference in the height, correct?
Correct.
So would you say at least 4 to 5 inches?
I believe so, yes.
And if you were 220 at the time, and I am saying that he was about 190, there would be a weight difference, correct?
Correct.
And because of the difference in the height and the weight, there would also be a reach difference
I believe so.
in fighting.
I believe so.
Ms. Roberts, can your client have a seat, please?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was distracted.
No, it's fine.
We also discussed that there was a time that Mr. Talisman came to your house, which was in December of 2023.
Yes.
And he came up to your truck. You were in a truck, correct?
Correct.
And what kind of truck is that?
White 3/4 ton pickup.
I mean, is it a 150 or 250? Or
Oh, it's the 250.
so they're pretty high off the ground.
Yes,
So in order to get into the truck, would you have to step on the running board?
there is no running board on that one, but usually grab the handle, pull yourself up.
But you can't, I mean, if I was gonna get into your truck, I wouldn't have a running board to step on.
No,
So if I was to pull myself up with a handle, I'd just be dangling.
I believe so.
Okay. Because I'm only 5'1".
Okay.
And you testified earlier that when he came up to the truck, to tell you not to call Shauna anymore, that he leaned into the window,
Yes.
and he's about 5'6".
That has not been established, so the calls for facts, not an evidence.
He's shorter than the height of the truck. What would be the height if you can speculate? This is the height of the window from the ground in your truck.
Objection, speculation.
State, you may rephrase, counsel.
How long have you had the truck?
Boy, probably too long, 10 years or so.
And you use it all the time for your landscaping business, correct?
Yes.
And the window of the truck, would you have any idea of how far it is from the ground without speculating?
No, not off the top of my head.
So if I were at 5'1", if I were to try to get into the truck without a running board being there, I would have to grab onto the handle and pull myself in, correct?
I believe so.
So if someone is considerably shorter, they would have being short, they would have a difficult time getting into the truck without pulling themselves into the truck.
I believe so.
And just to clarify, you were talking about the front door. No, because I got confused a little bit with your testimony. You indicated that the storm door opens out,
Correct.
but the one wooden door, when you pull it in, if you were to open it, it would be next to the wall.
Correct.
Redirect, Mr. Acosta.
Mr. Roberts was asking you questions, Mr. Stevens, about when you were in the bedroom and you locked the door.
Yes,
You remember that series of questions?
I do.
Did you lock the door?
No, I did not have a lock on it.
So what did you do?
I held it with one of both hands, leaned against it with my left shoulder.
Use your body.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts kept asking questions about if she was trying to get in your truck, she'd have to pull herself up. Remember that? Shorter, so she would. Yes. I wanted a lot different. Oh,
Correct.
can you stand outside your truck and lean in the window? Or lean on the window?
Yes.
Arms? Can you easy for you or hard?
It's relatively easy.
We're also asked about, person is taller, they have a longer reach to fight, right?
Yes,
And you say yes.
yes,
That night, were you swinging or striking the defendant?
no,
When you said the defendant came through your front door, that storm door,
yes,
was the inner door, that solid door, was that open or closed?
that was open,
Just the storm door was there and closed,
correct,
and that swings out.
yes.
You, saw the defendant on 2 occasions,
Yes,
and you stood up for you here today, right?
yes,
Pretty solid individual.
yes,
And at the time, you said you were probably about 220,
yes,
and you were working out at the time.
absolutely not.
So that was not a solid 220 muscle wise either.
No.
You were asked by Ms. Roberts about testifying before this matter. That was the district court, right?
Yes,
You were asked a whole series of questions, correct?
yes,
Did you talk about being home at about 3:30 that day?
yes,
And you testified to that?
yes,
Did you say that somebody was over with you that day?
yes,
You said it was Sean Lett?
yes,
Did you say somebody came through your front door
I did,
when you testified?
yes,
Did you say that was the defendant?
yes,
You talk about watching a movie, East Bay Room, beers that day?
Your
yes,
Honor, objection, this has already been discussed and testified to. It's been asked and answered.
Well, it has been, so Ms. Roberts was asking about him testifying in district court, alluding to that somehow his testimony is different today than it was back then. I'm going through his testimony.
I did not suggest that at all. This has already been covered by both of us, and I think that it's, like I said, asked and answered.
State.
You testified in district court before.
yes,
Was your testimony consistent with what it is today?
yes.
I have no further questions.
Do you have a reference?
Just two. When did you have an opportunity to review your testimony? Then from the district court.
Few days, I believe last week sometime.
Okay. You received a copy, so you had an opportunity to review it at home.
Yes,
And there's been no testimony about fact. Well, let me rephrase it. When David came into your house, do you recall him having a full cast on his left arm?
I do not.
Thank you. Nothing more.
Mr. Rakowski, any other questions, sir?
I have no question. May we approach, Ryan?
Yes. You can answer, you just place it on my desk. Thank you. Mr. Rakowski, your next witness.
Yes, this is my letter, Mr. Stevens. So he's subject to recall over based on our discussion.
Yes, he's allowed to be in the courtroom. Notice for the record.